Most of the time we are looking at entrepreneurship as means of survival. Are we making money? But we are operating in losses. It's now more about strategy.
What are some of the things that you've seen?
My children would keep asking, Mommy, can you bring us chocolate? How much is a chocolate? I would say maybe 10K.
10,000.
You can afford. When I sat down to realize that if I keep buying this chocolate on a daily, even if it's only for 25 days within a month, this is 250. And that compounded over a year, it's 3 million shillings. It's just coffee, just 5K. You step into the workplace, everyone is holding the latest phone.
Everyone is wearing
dresses a certain way. The one that is just surviving, you're operating from a place where everything is an emergency. It's even the things that you clearly know. When money comes, it is for eating.
How do we develop financial agility to smart money decisions?
Just stop living to impress.
There are some places where we find ourselves drawing back.
You're on a journey. It's not about what people will say.
Who should borrow?
Simply because you get a notification of your bank telling you qualify for a loan of 5 million. You go running.
What does it mean to do business?
Let's not start businesses out of excitement.
That is why we stumble into things that we don't even understand.
Because sometimes you can be in a place where they're like, everyone create an extra source of income. Just like any other laws, you have to plant to harvest.
Welcome once again to Zenith Podcast. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're watching. It's yet again another episode for the Zenith Podcast. It's always an honor to be here in front of you talking about finances, all things finances. We are very, very excited. And for you that is joining us for the first time, Zenith Podcast is a community of people that are tired of surviving, that are tired of guesswork, that want clarity, that want to rise into their highest financial potentials. And if that is you, then you are in the right place. Patience, how are you?
I am fine, Hope. How are you?
I'm okay.
I am in the right place.
Yes, you are. We are Zenith, so we are in the right place. Just to, to do a recap, because we always want to do a recap for the previous episodes, just to bring you up to speed, especially for you that is joining us for the first time. You should go watch those episodes that we upload, but we'll always do a recap for you. So just to have a recap of the previous episode, what is that thing that really stood out for you?
I was just waiting on you to ask me because I love Amina.
Yeah.
She just educated me a bit more that it's not about everything else or money. It's about behavior change and how important it is for us to change our behavior.
Absolutely.
And then grow our finances, because it's like the foundation of it.
Yes.
When our behaviors are good, we are good to know. Once you know your behavior type, you're able to save, you're able to invest, you understand yourself first, and then you're able to grow your finances.
Absolutely. Because again, it's not about the money. It's about you as an individual and how you view or your perspective on money. So behavior change is very, very, very important.
It goes to everything, investing.
Yeah.
All those, you have to know you have to know what you're dealing with. You have to know, if you have a family, this is what I'm going to do. If I don't have, a person who has a family invests differently or grows their finances differently.
From a university student, from a career person. So you invest different. Now, this time round.
Yes.
Patience, go ahead and introduce our guest.
We have an amazing lady.
Yeah.
She is proud to be a mother. She's proud to be a wife. She's proud to be an entrepreneur. And she's proud to be a financial literacy trainer. She trains with the Bank of Uganda, and we are glad to have her. We've been having a conversation here, and I can't wait for her to just
amaze
us with whatever she has to tell us.
So ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to be joined by Joanne.
Thank you.
You're most welcome to Zenith Podcast. We are so happy to have you. We're very humbled to have you on Zenith Podcast. So, talk to our people. Who is Joanne? We want to know who Joanne is. You're a mother. You're an entrepreneur. You're a career person. We want to know beyond that. Who is Joanne?
Okay, thank you so much, Zenith Podcast, and thank you for having me. It's quite a privilege and an honor to be here. My name is Joanne Christine Nabomba. I'm a Bank of Uganda certified financial literacy trainer.
Amazing.
I'm also a full-time professional.
Okay.
So I do an 8 to 5, and specifically I'm a banker.
Okay.
I'm a mother, like you've said, of 3 for now. I'm a wife. Also an entrepreneur. I own a small business. And like I say, everything in between, because still a lot goes on in there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Amazing. Here we talk about finances and everything about it.
Yeah.
Would like to understand how do you term financial freedom?
Okay. Financial freedom for me, it's me being in a position where I'm certain about the future. I'm not panicking at every other thing that comes. I have a plan. I know what it looks like, the broader picture. When we say today, maybe there is a COVID that has come, to me, financial freedom looks like not being in panic mode, being in a place where I know, it has come, but we can survive for the next 6 months without really having to change our lives drastically. So to me, that is freedom, financial freedom.
Joanne, you talked about the fact that you're a mother, you're an entrepreneur, you have so many roles.
Yes.
How do those roles fit into your financial management, or how do you manage finances in all those roles?
Okay, that is quite interesting. And like you've said, each of those roles draws you to a certain direction.
Absolutely.
So for starters, as an entrepreneur, it puts me in a place where I have now to be strategic and plan. Because most of the business owners, we create businesses. I'll go later into those details.
Yeah.
I've tried like 3 businesses that failed, and I'm currently doing my 4th, which is working. But most of the time we are looking at entrepreneurship as means of survival. Like I should create a business so that I can earn some money
Daily income.
today.
Yeah.
But when I have this knowledge regarding financial management and the rest, it's now more about strategy. To know that this business is not just for the now, but even the days later or to come. So now I have to plan to know that business money is not my money, you know. It might be there, but doesn't mean it's my personal money. If I'm earning from that business, maybe like a salary, it is that. I cannot spend business money as if it is my personal money. Also to manage the cash flows, because also as an entrepreneur, when you go to the shop and find money in the drawer, it can give you an illusion that you're making money.
Yeah.
But then it comes to the details of planning, of record keeping, to know, are we making money?
Record keeping is very key.
Are we just seeing money, but we're operating in losses? So for me, that is what it is about when it's about entrepreneurship. Putting up the systems in place, record keeping, managing the cash flows, not going with every pressure that comes to say borrow and you add in. Is it okay for me in the moment to borrow or it's not? So that is it for the entrepreneurship bit. Or as an entrepreneur, those are things now I put in perspective. As a mother, that is where the hard lining comes in. Because you see, most of these decisions are so emotional. Because you have a child that is saying, Mommy, I need this. Mommy, my friends have this. So it becomes tricky to say, no, I will not be able to provide you that. But also as a mother, I believe for me now it's a matter of teaching that child that yes, not every other thing you ask for is going to be availed there and then.
Oh, it's relevant in that moment,
Or them also to know, when I give you money, you have to put some money aside. For example, I have 3 children. And the 2, one is 6, one is 4. I've taught them to, whenever you have money, first pick out the one to put in your PG bank. Okay? So I cannot tell them saving because they do not understand
what saving is.
But practically, by them knowing that every money mommy gives or auntie or daddy, I have to first put in my PG bank. Then I have to know if I'm going to the supermarket, what is it I'm picking? That brings them to the aspect of planning. Also, whenever it comes to decision making, Because sometimes they tell you, Mommy, we would like to celebrate our birthdays at school. And then you have to sit them down and tell them, if you're celebrating at home, this is what we are going to do. If it's at school, that means on your birthday, we shall not cut cake at home. So that is it about motherhood. It's tricky, but then you have to see how to teach them.
Find ways of navigating
that is appropriate to their age anyway. Then when it comes to me as a wife, for me, financial management is about partnership. Because, yes, you're now individuals. Like I've said, I'm a full-time professional. My husband earns, I earn.
Yes.
So it takes us to sit as a family to say, what are our priorities? What are the things that we are planning for this year? Like to put things in place, even the strategies of like 5 years. We want to be here, want to get a home. We are looking at this land and a lot of things. So that is a lot into partnership and also now making our priorities right. Because if we're a couple, we are different from another couple.
Absolutely.
That always helps us not to be in a place where we are doing things simply because every other couple is doing.
Maybe, actually, sorry to cut you short. You need to emphasize that. You need to re-emphasize that. Because we've had issues in that. I mean, I look at a couple that is doing, or maybe that has gone for a vacation, and I feel like we need to do the same. And that has put very many people on a spot. Yeah. It has affected people's finances, people's families, because my husband may not be able to provide in that moment. So it sort of affects the marriage.
When it comes to marriage, and I guess even not with marriage, as individuals that are being mindful of how we move when it comes to our financial journeys, you have to first of all know who you are. And now that takes us now to the point of the couples. You have to know that you're different, you know?
Yeah.
We are different individuals, we are different couples. Simply because our friends went to Dubai, let me say, for a holiday. Did we plan as us? Was it part of our plan to go to Dubai?
No.
If it wasn't part of the plan, then why should I put my husband on pressure to, you see, even so and so that earn less money, they have gone. What about us?
Yeah.
So as a couple, it comes a lot into the planning. When you see it, to say what things are we doing this year or next year, this is where now you have to make sure whatever you want to do is aligned. If you did not plan for that vacation, maybe you plan to buy land. Why should you go for a vacation? Simply because another couple has gone. That would mean you spend your money meant to buy land to go for a vacation, and then you're going to struggle. So you have to be content and also know that your journey looks very different
from the other.
Yes.
Yeah, I was excited to hear from you on that part for all the three. And I love how you have brought everything out together. For the children part, I also wanted, because we are aspiring. So I wanted to hear how you say it, but I feel like you brought it out like it needs to be. There's a lady, she's called Rebecca. She used to work with NSSF, and they asked her a question about children and why she thinks, because that is her specification. Now that is what she's doing for children. And she said that when I look at myself and the history of my home and how I grew up and how I went to school, I'm like, it can't happen again to my children. And he said that why I even do it right now is because they have the advantage of time. That now your child is 3 years old or is just months old.
Yeah.
But you're accumulating money for them. And she said the compounding effect, by the time she's 20 years, she'll be much better than the person who did not save. And yet it is not a lot of money that you're putting out for them, or even the simple things that you're teaching them, because it might not only be money. We realize on this podcast that it is not just about money. So the accumulation and the time, it works out so well. So you train people. What are some of the things that you've seen, the mistakes that people do on their journey? And you could also paint it to us in a broader picture, because I think you have analysis from Bank of Uganda.
Okay. Most of the mistakes that we make, and unfortunately, these look like very subtle things and decisions that we take on a daily, because it doesn't have to be one big drastic decision that sometimes lands into trouble. But sometimes it's those small things that seem harmless, It's just a small thing. But then as we keep doing that small thing on a daily, I'll give you an example. There is a time my children would keep asking, Mommy, can you bring us chocolate today? So how much is a chocolate? I would say maybe 10K.
10,000.
And to look at it, you can afford to buy a chocolate on a daily as you go home. But then when I sat down to realize that if I keep buying this chocolate on a daily, even if it's only for 25 days within a month, this is 250,000. And that compounded over a year, it's 3 million shillings. Okay? So most of the mistakes that we are doing, we do them in a small way. Every other day you say, it's just coffee. Just 5K.
5K coffee.
It doesn't have to be. So most of the mistakes we are doing is, one, keeping up appearances. This one, very big on it. Because even me personally, I've ever been a victim, You step into the workplace, everyone is holding the latest phone.
Everyone is wearing
dresses a certain way. Everyone is buying whatever
we are
it
suffering
is.
at our workplaces.
But then now you also want to keep up.
Yeah.
But then for you, maybe these individuals are from well-to-do families, or they have, rich spouses and all. But your story looks different. But then when you keep living like everyone else, you land yourself in trouble. You're borrowing from friend A, B, C, and also borrow from other people to pay the people that are demanding you money. So you realize it's not really sustainable. The other bit is borrowing without purpose. Most people, simply because you get a notification of your bank telling you qualify for a loan of 5 million. You go running to get that loan which you qualify for. But do you know why you're getting the loan or why you're borrowing?
Do you even need
These are the things we ask ourselves. Do you need to borrow? Is it important? Also, the bit of not having boundaries, and this is very common with our extended families. Everyone is calling to say, send me money. Okay. It's even tricky for someone like me who is a firstborn. You have siblings. You have parents. You have very many people that think
that
she has money. To make it worse, maybe you work in an environment where they presume.
Absolutely,
simply because you're in a bank. You have money. And then you've not clearly put down boundaries to say, I'll give up to this limit. So these are some of the mistakes that we are making. Also not paying ourselves in itself. Whenever we get money, you realize we spend on everyone else
apart from you.
Apart from ourselves. And it's bad. We have to also focus, for starters, on yourself. Yes.
So we've talked about quite a lot of things, but there's something that usually happens, especially with women that work in the corporate space, women that are in the professional field. We acquire a lot of knowledge when it comes to financial literacy. We have done so well in that area of seeking knowledge when it comes to financial literacy. But the problem comes in to applying. There's a problem when it comes to applying what we have learned. Why is this so?
We have had a lot of knowledge regarding financial literacy. And now it comes back to the application. This is where most of us are actually failing. And we need to understand the why. You realize that when we go for the trainings, we are getting the theory or the theoretical aspect. But then when we go home, now the daily pressures of the world, you've left the training, you've been told about planning, about budgeting.
You're excited.
The moment you get home, Mommy, they've sent us for books. They've told us this. People are calling from east, right, and center, saying they need money. And now this is where the problem starts. Because in that moment, the pressures are there. We cannot not run away from that fact. But after the pressures being there, you realize you have to deal with them before you even start putting in practice the things that you've learned.
Yes.
The daily pressures are already there, the household, the feeding and everything. But also the other thing or the other challenge why we want to make big changes. Yeah. Yet when it comes to financial literacy and practicing it, it's about the small, consistent things that we do every other day, the choices that you make every day. So it takes us to a place now, maybe you're coming from the training, you've been told about savings, but then you want to first have 2 million.
To save, yes.
Yet that in the meantime requires you to see, do I have 10,000? And can I save that 10,000 every week?
Yeah.
That would be better than someone that gets 100,000 and for the next 3 months, there is no saving that comes through.
Absolutely.
So for the women, they have to take these steps daily to see what is it that you can do. And also to believe that it won't be a perfect journey. This is the expectation that because you've attained the knowledge, everything is going to be perfect. And it's not the reality. So we have to sit with ourselves and know, let me do something, however imperfect, however small. But every other day, if I keep doing it, then I will perfect that. And also, like I mentioned, it will take mindset and also making hard decisions. Like now, I've gotten the knowledge, but how do I draw the line? On all the things I've been spending on? How do I say, let me now cut down on this? Maybe I've been spending a lot with the relatives. How do I get in there? You might not cut them off all of a sudden, but maybe can we start reducing the amounts gradually, and maybe over time that helps us. And also the flexibility to know that maybe I've been taught about budgeting, but it's never a fixed thing. I change as my circumstances change.
Yeah.
If in that moment I've gotten the training, I've been a business person, I earn daily, my daily skills or what I do on a day-to-day is different from now when you're earning a salary. So these are the things that we ask yourself.
So that means it's the small habits that determine how far you're able to go.
Definitely. It's the small changes.
The small routines,
Yeah, and it brings us to this point, the question that I want to ask. What differentiates a woman who is struggling, just surviving financially, and one who is deliberately working towards wealth building?
Okay. The woman that is actually surviving is always, first of all, how we look at money or how they look at money.
Yeah.
The one that is just surviving will look at money as something to consume. When I have money, where do I spend the money? That is the woman that is just, in survival mode. Money is for consumption, nothing else. Whereas the woman that is intentional about building, you're looking money as a means of growing yourself, as a means of investing, and also making you more money.
Yes.
So whenever I have my 100,000, let me say, I'm looking at how do I expand or how do I generate more with this 100. Yet for the one that is just surviving, where do I go to spend this money? The other thing also, the one that is just surviving, you're operating on from a place where everything is an emergency in your life. Be it school fees, even the things that you clearly know you're going to spend on, everything that comes shocks you like you had no idea that it will happen. Yet a woman that is intentional about their journey will plan, One will just look at everything that comes, panic mode. The other one will plan. Because I know the fees is coming, because I know Easter is coming. They have already planned that ahead of time. And also the daily habits, like I said, one, you'll realize they are budgeting, they are tracking what they are spending on a day-to-day. The other one is we only live once. When money comes, it is for eating. And I think also the aspect of looking at the broader picture, knowing money is not
Very
just
important.
for the today.
Yes.
But how about 5 years later? What kind of life do I want 10 years from now? So that determines our choices as the one that is just surviving and the one that is building.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we always talk about financial literacy. Everyone talks about financial literacy and everyone understands it their own way. But really, how do we develop financial agility? Maybe the ability to, to adapt, to pivot, to develop smart money decisions based as circumstances change.
Okay. When it comes to the agility as an individual, I believe the first step is your mindset and knowing where you stand in the moment. Because when it comes to the finances, if you're going to be someone that is fixed, you can't change, you're not flexible, then there's going to be a big problem. So when it comes to that, you have to be open to change, to be open, to be flexible. Because today, if I'm living a lifestyle because I earn 2 million shillings and tomorrow I lose that job or the salary is cut down by half, why should I still live the same kind of life that I'm living now? So I have to be, first of all, flexible. The other thing is you have to be really open to learning because really it doesn't end.
It doesn't
Today, I'll teach you something, but then the dynamics are going to change along the way.
Yes.
But if you're the kind who is not seeking knowledge, who is stuck on what you learned 10 years later, maybe 10 years later, the unit trust, maybe, let me say an example, we're not a thing. And right now they are here. Maybe you didn't have the knowledge about the different avenues to invest in. And right now, you have to seek that kind of knowledge. The other thing is also for someone that is trying to have that agility to just stop living to impress. I think for me, that really has to be clear. If you're going to adapt as the circumstances are changing, you have to realize you're on a journey. And it's not about what people will say, how people will look at me. If it requires making hard decisions, maybe your children have been attending a certain school, but things have changed. Instead of going to borrow money to keep them in that school, you might have to say which school can we afford in the meantime. So I guess those are some of the things I can look at.
Very, very important because because especially in this age that you talked about adapting, changing, being hungry for knowledge and being willing to let go of certain things and adapting. For example, we are in the era of AI. Technology is improving every other day. We just have to adapt. What you thought you can do, AI can do. And they are paying a lot of money for technology. So it's important that we, even as we are growing along this journey, it's important that we adapt to certain, information and learn certain things.
Yeah, the other day I was having a conversation with a colleague of mine, and she was like, she stays with her. I don't know. I'm just thinking of how to bring it out so that she will not say I was pinning her here, or she will not understand she's the one. And she was saying how she stays with her sister's children, and her sister is not in Uganda. And right now, the sister is not giving her money. She's paying rent for herself, and I think she's just started the job, and I think what she did was to tell her family how much she was earning, and now the sister is not giving her any money. And I asked her, was she giving you money before? And she was like, yes. And I asked her, what is she doing now with her money? She's like, she's building her house in the village where she wants to come and stay when she's done. I'm like, and she can't pay school fees for her children. And I'm like, so for you, where are you paying it for them? And she's like, Auntie, what family, I can't stop. And I'm like, if your sister cannot pay for her children, not because she does not have the money,
but because
if she can do that to you, for you, why can't you do it? And it reminds me of how we used to say that, like they don't want to help. But it's because now, if someone like her is doing that and she cannot even get herself out of it. And I told her, you know what, even your sister, after that sister of yours, you're going to get other children. And for her, she doesn't have children. She's just single, but she's paying for someone else's child. And I don't know. But for someone who wants to get out of, because I know as we are growing into financial literacy and trying to grow ourselves, there's some places where we find ourselves drawing back and not being able to continue on the journey. I don't know if it's because sometimes we feel like it is hard, or we feel like the softer way is better. I don't know what are some of those things, and how can we get ourselves out of that pit.
Okay. So some of the things or the pitfalls we find ourselves in are things like borrowing. Some people are in the circles like, I borrow from A to pay B, I borrow from C to pay this other person. So consistently we're in a cycle of debt. And most of these loans, they're not even good loans. I think we'll talk about that. They are not good loans. We are just borrowing simply because we know we can get this money somewhere. The other thing, we've encouraged behavior. Because like you're saying, your sister, she has those kids. She knows she's the primary provider, or she has to pay for them fees at least. But now this other person has taken on a kind of responsibility, and the other person has relaxed on their obligations. So even if she wants now to grow financially, she's constrained because she's taking on so much from family, where she would now be in position to now start building her own finances. So that's what brings us to the point of the boundaries. Okay, boundaries not to mean we shouldn't help family, we shouldn't help friends, but can we be clear on what my roles are and what your roles are? What I can do, it's okay, I can stay with the children, but the fees, can you be able to send it? And also the other pitfall is that I talked about trying to keep appearances. Or now for her, it might be a matter of, if I ask her to pay, what will they say? And this, what will people say?
And amazingly, when I asked her what she says, and she was like, she says, Katsinga Sivadeo, if I wasn't alive, wouldn't you do it? But you're alive.
But now you're alive.
So those are some of the things that I think are keeping some people back.
Yes.
Those are some of the things that are really keeping people back. But away from that, according to statistics, there's so many businesses in Uganda that do not see 5 years. Yeah?
Yeah.
So many businesses that are failing. Yeah? What are some of the financial structures that can be put in place to have these businesses, especially these small businesses, grow and become bigger businesses that can be able to accumulate wealth and, extend to generations?
Okay.
Yeah.
True. Most businesses in Uganda don't make it to 5 years. And I guess, like I've said personally, I've been in both worlds.
Yeah.
I've tried some that have not even made it to a year.
Yeah.
And, a one that is making it. But I think the biggest thing is we are starting these businesses not with a big picture in mind. It is about the survival. Let me set up something small.
Such that it can provide daily income.
And maybe that income is now for family feeding. So you realize there is a mix of the finances. The business is there, but you're picking out every other money that it's making to finance now the, home needs, to fund your lifestyle. And these are some of the mistakes that we are really making, because cash flow management and also planning for that business are very key. The record keeping. But you realize in Uganda, most of our businesses, when I'm running my own business, it's like we play a lot, if I'm to call it that way. We don't take it as serious.
Yeah.
Like, where I'm managing someone else's business. When someone gives me a business to manage on their behalf, I'll do the record keeping. I'll know how much we are making in terms of profitability.
Accountability will be
I will
clear.
account for every penny that comes in and that leaves. But when the business is mine, this is where I mix personal money with business money.
Yes.
I just pick money and spend it without accounting. I do not have proper records. So that also constrains the business, because even if it wanted to get a loan, let's say for expansion, because you don't have records, your bank, you don't maybe even have an account where you put money. You realize that even with these initiatives, even if the government is putting out some facilities, maybe you can't even qualify because your record keeping is bad, because the cash flows are not there, and it has been mismanaged.
Absolutely.
Because the money, you cannot separate business finances from your personal. So the business struggles, definitely.
I think it also goes back to knowledge.
Yes.
Knowledge. Because people start business out of desperation, to get money, to get income, daily income, and forget that this business is going to require a lot much more than just the money. That's why for me, I always credit institutions or people that have gone ahead to educate people on business and what does it mean to start out a business? What is required of you? And I mean, I love to credit them. So I credit Stanbic Bank. Stanbic Bank has a program called National Schools Championship. That program is for youth. It trains young people when it comes to businesses. Yeah, they get trainers. They train them aggressively. What does it mean to do business? What's record keeping? Yeah, where do you see your business in the next? I mean, well, it's like to start with the smallest. Like, what do you have? What do I have that I can start with, and how can I grow it? That is what is going to help people come out of the bracket of the business has not seen 1 year, it has not seen 2 years, because you don't have ability, you don't have a knowledge for the business. So I think it's very, very important that we seek knowledge when it comes to starting businesses and what it takes. It's not just entering, I'm going to sell cosmetics, and people are going to come and buy. But there is more to that business than just selling and buying.
And many times I think we are running away from something which we end up falling into when we go into business, because sometimes you're at work and you're just tired of the boss that you have, and you don't have purpose. You don't know why you're going into business. You're just running away from something. That is why we stumble into things that we don't even understand. Because we are consistently running, and that's why it's important. Even when you want to start your own business, calculate the risk, understand what is going to happen. At least have something in mind, because we are also certain that even with your calculation, because now they've even told us that you will do your spreadsheet properly. Calculate the risk, tax, and whatever, and then at the end of it all, you're seeing profit in the first few months. But in reality, after you go, your spreadsheet has lied to you. It's a different thing out here in the field. So I think that is also one of them. But you've talked about debt, and I want you to tell us or elaborate for us what is good debt and bad debt, and also who should get debt,
who should borrow, because it's a very big topic. It's a very, very big topic. Everyone, most people, when you hear that there's a loan, they're giving a loan, at such and such an interest that is favorable, you run. But who is required to borrow and who shouldn't?
Okay. The debt thing, very interesting, because we are living in an era, before I even go in, where people think debt is only what you get in a bank or financial institution. But even on our mobile money, someone wants you to send them money and they say, don't send to that line. So we are dealing with a bigger problem. So to start with, like you talked about businesses, let me take you back slightly. Also, as we start these businesses, let's not start businesses out of excitement. Because sometimes you can be in a place where they're like, everyone create an extra source of income. And everyone is telling you, you see, this business works But as an individual, you've never done that. You don't have an idea, you don't have knowledge, you don't have anything, and you're going in blindly simply because everyone tells you there is crazy money in that kind of business. But now when it comes to debt, is it good or bad? Okay. There is what we call good debt and bad debt. Good debt should actually be debt that is growing you. Or I'm borrowing so that I make more money. But if I'm borrowing for consumption, I'm borrowing so that I can afford to go to a trip. That is definitely bad debt because that money is not going to come back. And then I'm going to be incurring costs of servicing
the debt.
The other one is, let's first look at the good debt. The one that is going to grow, the one that is going to bring you more money. You're growing to, let's say, buy an asset. It could be like land. And this is going to appreciate over time. So after 2 years, I bought at 50 million, it's going to be 100. Some people are borrowing to fund education. I hope you've heard about education loans because someone knows, let me take this to fund my university, but as soon as I complete, then maybe I'll get a job and be in position to service this debt. I would still consider that good debt. Or for academic purposes, some people want to be certified so that in their field, they become authorities and that basically comes in with better pay. That would be good. Also, people have businesses and they want to expand. It's already a working business. I'm not encouraging anyone to borrow to start.
Keyword working business.
You should not borrow money to start up a business. You have no idea about that business, how it works, if it's profitable or not. Most people have been victims of borrowing, started up businesses, and the business collapses. And you have to keep servicing the loan. So if you're borrowing to expand, because the customers are now many, you want a bigger location, you're buying machinery to support you, definitely that is as well good debt. But that bad debt is the one for, consumption. Just because everyone has bought a car, even me, I need to buy a new car, I need to change my number plate. That is not good debt. Also, the debts of just consumption, because everyone is taking that money. Even if you get the notification that you qualify for that money, it shouldn't be reason for you to go and take it. Also, look at, are you able to fund? Because what you're spending the money on might be good. You're buying land. But will you manage to service this loan? If it's taking almost all what you're earning, you have to really consider, because it might be what you're using it for is good, but you're not able to service it. So that would also now become bad debt.
Bad debt. I mean, it's very, very important for someone out there to understand what a good debt is and what a bad debt is. Very, very important, because these debts, these loans have costed, if that word exists, very many people. Very, very many people. I remember, I know of someone who got a loan, very big loan, from the bank, a lot of money, about 100 million, and they were not able to pay the money. And they got to a point where they had to, I think they got the money to build a house. And in the long run, the businesses, the different streams of income were not able to service the loan. And they almost took the house. So they had to literally sell it, and at a very low cost, and borrow money from elsewhere to service the loan, because time was out. So it's very important for people to understand what is good debt and what is bad debt. So you're getting this money, but do you know the effect in the long run and how it's going to affect your other businesses and your family and everything? It's important to put that into consideration. We've had cases of money schemes. Very many people have fallen victims of the pyramids of money schemes. I don't know, they have different names, so many names. Someone comes and convinces you that if you put money in this thing, it's going to multiply. It's going to and if you keep bringing in people, if you have like 4 people behind you, every time that person puts money, you're getting money for 4 people, right? And these financial schemes keep growing. Why is it that they keep growing? And yet, in the long run, people notice that they actually scams, yeah? But then they keep thriving and growing. Why is it so? And how can people be able to be more vigilant?
Okay.
Yeah.
That is an interesting one.
Yeah.
And I think mostly these pyramids or let's first of all understand with the pyramids is where you bring in an extra person, you earn.
Yes.
For whoever an extra person that you bring, you're going to earn more.
Yes,
These are the pyramids.
Yes.
But also we have what we call the Ponzi schemes. These ones say, put your 10 million here, and every month we shall give you 30% interest. They're not asking you necessarily to bring an extra person. But they are requiring you to put your money, and they've promised you very big returns on investment. So these schemes are growing, and I believe personally why they are growing, it's out of, you will get very excited. We want to get rich so quickly. And I believe when it comes to money, just like any other laws, it's about you have to plant to harvest.
Absolutely.
But I want to plant today, and tomorrow the fruits are already there and in abundance. We wanted to get quick, to get rich too quickly. So most of them, that's why you see these offers look too good to be true.
True, yes.
Because before we even fall victims of such schemes, ask yourself that even the government, when it's borrowing in terms of government securities, what interest does it give? Can we first look around us to say, what is the rate on unit trusts? What's the rate if I go to a bank and fix that money? What's the rate if I choose to lend to the government in terms of bonds and bills? But if you realize the average is about 15% and someone promises you 30%,
already that
is a red flag to show you that whatever this is that you're going into, it is not practical. And what happens is also it looks on the trust, because sometimes they'll tell you to recruit people, and the easiest people you look out for are your close friends and family. So if I benefit, some of these schemes will give the first people who will invest. Those ones will get, and then they'll come to you and tell you, you see, this is too good. May I put money there and see how much I've earned? So because someone you trust has told you about it, also you're going to go in that. And for you might be among the last people that are going to lose every other money. So
that means it's very, very important to be vigilant and more prudent, especially when dealing with money. Because if it's you, Joanne, and you recommended something, I know that Joanne has a knowledge to do with finance. So if she's able to recommend something, that means I can trust it, right? So it's important for Joanne to be more prudent and do research, because she knows that the moment she recommends someone, it will be automatic. They'll be able to join in.
So Joanne, we want you to give us a money principle.
That one thing that if they did consistently, first of all, pay yourself first. We've talked about women and the fact that we care for everyone around us and everything around us other than ourselves. So if I'm to encourage a woman today, what they can do every time you get money, before you go to spend, to pay the landlord, to pay for fuel, to pay school fees, first pick part of that money, maybe a 10%. If you have your 10,000, 1,000, put it away. And know this is money that I'm keeping aside personally. This money is going to save you on a rainy day. It will be your emergency fund. Or it might be money that is going to help you to invest. So that you don't have to first borrow to start up something. So pay yourself first. And maybe just one, having that whenever you spend, cautious spending. Let's not spend out of excitement. emotion because everyone else is spending. Every choice that you make that involves money, ask yourself, do I have to? And I guess that will take us a long way in improving our finances.
Are women better at finances? Who is better, women or men?
That is very relative.
Yeah.
I was hoping that you say women.
I think it's relative. It depends anyway. Yes. It depends. But for me, these are very interesting conversations. Pay yourself. And for you who is watching, you might think that paying yourself or rewarding yourself is taking yourself out for a meal or buying yourself a cloth. No, paying yourself means putting away some money, saving money that will help you in the long run, because you never know. So it's that money that you save before doing anything else. That is what it means to pay yourself. Otherwise, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jo, and we are so humbled to have you.
Thank you.
We are so honored to have you. Thank you for allowing to share wisdom, because I know it's what everyone needs. We are seeking knowledge and we are applying. Here at Zenith Podcast, we apply. We learn, we unlearn, and then we apply. So it's very, very important. Thank you so much for you that has kept it, that has kept here to the very end. We are so excited to have you for these and more episodes to come. Thank you so much to Onomo Hotel. We are at Onomo Nakasero, just right next to Nakasero Hospital. That is where we are at Onomo Hotel. And thanks so much to Onomo for hosting us for this particular episode. We are very excited and we are very happy to see you for the next episode. Thank you so much and see you next time.